Hello.
How
are you?
How are you tonight?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm a wee bit raspy because I'm just recovering from a bout of COVID, but it's fine. We'll get there. I've got my wee hot toddy here, so we're all good.
What have you got in your hot toddy, Neil?
I have the Bruichladdich 8-year-old.
Oh, nice.
Toddy with some honey and lemon and a wee cinnamon stick too, so it's very nice.
Oh, very good. Well, I've got a
oh, very good.
Yeah. So red wine and port cask, because I'm a bit croaky as well. And
right.
You know how you say to take, is it port and brandy?
Yeah.
I thought, oh, well, I'll take that.
So we've got a bit muddled up here then, because I've got an Islay and you've got a Glasgow.
Is there anyone watching, Neil? Because I don't know.
We have, yeah. We've got a few people watching just now, yeah. If anybody's watching, if you can let us know in the comments that you can hear us, see us okay.
So, because I want to say Falcha and welcome.
Yeah.
I forgot we haven't done one of these for so long. I forget how to do it.
I know. We're not quite on the ball with these, are we? But still, it's about quality, not quantity, right?
Absolutely. We're meant to be doing one, every month. And it's
about one a year. I think it was every month, and then it was every 2 months, and then it was, well, we'll just see.
Yeah. So, can you see who's joined us, where they're from?
We don't have any details yet. Sorry, I've got a wee fly attacking me here. I don't have any comments or anything yet, so I've no locations yet. But I know there are people watching. So
well, hello and everybody, and welcome, because tonight is very exciting because we're going to introduce our new whisky comic. But we're going to do that later, and we're going to bring in the illustrator, Alexis from Dundee, which is the home of comic. I don't know if people know that, but Dundee is like the actual home of all comics, because it's like the mecca of comics in the world. But I'll leave Alexis to talk about that. But maybe we should talk a wee bit about what we've been doing in ours.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, hasn't it? So, I mean, I don't even think we've spoke about the Phage. You looked like you had a great time when the Phage was on this year.
The Phage was excellent, Neil, because I don't know why, but I was like that. I didn't want to be producing something. I don't know why, right? I thought every year we're producing, we've got the open day, but this is the good thing, you see, about that we're independent, we can make our own decisions. And I was like, I think this year I'm going to go and visit everybody else and write about stuff and engage with people, because the problem is everybody comes when we invite them to a thing. Oh, that's nice. Thanks. And a wee dram to you as well, Sacha. So even though we're busy and we've got people that attend, because we're hosting, we'd always get a chance to chat.
Yeah.
You know, put on your thing and other people enjoy it and you enjoy it, but you're not really getting much chance to chat. So last year I saw everybody and it was just wonderful.
Yeah. It looked fantastic. I was keeping up with all your pictures and stuff, and you did loads of videos interviewing people and all that, and it looked such great fun, you know.
I'm learning. I'm becoming better with the technology.
You might need to excuse the noise because my dog has just burst into the room and is drinking his water beside me. I'm going to go there if anybody was wondering what that noise was.
Murphy, the cat. At least it's the water he's drinking, Neil, and not whiskey.
Well, this is true. Yes, yeah. So yeah, we've got a lot going on at the minute, haven't we? Obviously, we've got the regular sort of residential diploma coming up in October. I think that's already that's full, isn't it? And we've already got people booking for next year as well, haven't we?
Yeah, I've got people already booked on for March 25.
That's
God willing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. What I'll do just now is I'll maybe stick up the website and stuff, because if anybody is interested, obviously it's looking like you might need to get in touch soon, because it is becoming quite popular. The website is there. It's islawwhiskeyacademy.scot. You can also email on info@islawwhiskeyacademy.scot if you have any questions or whatever.
The one we had in March was wonderful. It was just...
Really was, yeah. It was. There's something I find really interesting. There's something different about it in spring, actually. It's a very different vibe. I think just the island is different. The light is different. Obviously, it's light much longer than it is when we do the one in October, you know. And that's not to say that the diploma in October isn't as good or anything. It's just a different energy, you know, different time of year. So that made it quite interesting, I thought.
And also in October last year, we were filmed. I don't know if anybody's seen that film. Is there any way that you can put that link, Neil?
I will try and get that for us. Yep. It was the German/French television channel Arte made a documentary about the whiskey boom in Islay. And they followed the academy for the week and spent a lot of time chatting with you, Rachel, and with obviously other people around the island. And it came out really well, didn't it? It was a lovely wee documentary. So
I loved it because what it did was it kind of showed the island and the people and our way of life. And then it's allowing people to draw their own conclusions to how that might change or be affected by this big onslaught of distilleries, you know. So what they were doing was they were showing how we live, and I just loved it. It was really, it reminded me when you could see our Jeep driving along the road, it reminded me of like Postman Pat.
Yeah.
It's a children's show. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but it's so cute, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was very good, and it's done well for us because it really generated quite a lot of interest in the academy as well. So we're quite grateful for that as well. So it was an interesting experience having the film crew there with us, you know, and carrying on, pretending you weren't being filmed and stuff, but you kind of got used to it, and the end result made it so worth it. So all good.
No, I enjoyed it. I didn't think I would. I thought it would be a strain. I mean, it was tiring, you know, because you didn't, like, I didn't have any peace. So if I was driving from A to B, normally I would have peace to think. But they would be filming at the back and they would ask me the same questions because, like, a car would go past them at a noise and then they would ask the question again. So you'd have to repeat. But I mean, you know, that's a small price.
I was just going to say, when do you ever drive from A to B anyway? You usually drive to A to B via C, D, and E. And
like, tell them the story, Neil, about
the very first time I went over to join Rachel to help out with the academy, with the diploma rather. Rachel picked me up at the ferry at Port Askig, and she told me that the rest of the crew were at Eòrna.
10 minutes up the road, like 5 minutes up the road.
Well, it's very close by. But she said they're in the warehouse, and then she set off driving, and we just drove and drove and drove. And I was thinking to myself, I'm sure Eòrna's just up that way. But you know, obviously, I thought she must know what she's doing. She must know where she's going. You know, I thought maybe she said they were in the warehouse. Maybe they've built a warehouse somewhere outside Bowmore or something. But then we got to Bowmore, and she went, "Where are we going?" I went, "I don't know. I thought you knew." So that was my first experience of sharing a road trip with Rachel. So.
I always forget where I'm going.
It's just as well Isla's not that large, I suppose, isn't it? And you can always double back. And
oh, that was funny.
Yeah. So what is the? There was a reason that we wanted to do this live tonight, wasn't there? There's a very big project coming up. That was the sort of inspiration. In fact, there's a couple of big projects coming up, really. But there's one in particular that sort of inspired this live. Do you want to just introduce what that is that we're going to be talking about, maybe?
So I've created a whiskey comic, and I've had the help of two amazing girls, and it was kind of inspired by the logo of, you know, the boat with the 3 witches in it, or the 3 shamanesses in it. So they've come alive into real people. So we're very lucky to have the 2 women who are working with me on the project. So we're going to invite them to join us, and we're going to talk about this amazing collaborative. It's more than a comic, but we'll talk about that. So we've got them with us, hiding in the studio. So
yeah. So I will just bring in, this is Alexis is it Bowden or Bowden? I really should have asked that before, shouldn't I? Bowden, is it?
I don't know.
Alexis Bowden and Melanie Hughes.
Hello.
Oh.
Balta, ladies, welcome. How do you pronounce it, Alexis?
Oh, it's Bowden.
Bowden.
Yeah. It's all right, everyone gets it wrong.
Yeah, I had a 50-50 there and I still went for the wrong one.
So it's amazing, girls, that you can join us here to talk about our project. And Melanie lives in Indiana in America, and she and I have been the whole year together making this come a reality. And Alexis has come on board in the last 3 weeks, I think. She graduated one day and we just hijacked her the next day to come and bring our vision to reality.
Well, I wanted to just ask a few questions, if that's okay, because this is all a mystery to me. See, Rachel's kept me in the dark on this as well, so I know as much about this as the audience.
Top secret, Neil.
Yeah,
I've been sworn to secrecy for
absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, I suppose this is more for you, Rachel, to begin with. What was the sort of roots of this? What was the kind of idea? What set the spark, if you like?
Well, the spark really is, Neil, that I wanted to tell the story of Islay, really, right? So, because the received wisdom is that people moved from south to north. Now, they might have done in other places, but in Islay, they moved from north to south, right? And everybody says Gaelic came from Ireland, right? No, did not. My professor in Glasgow, who was from Ireland, he told me that there's a huge body of knowledge that says Gaelic originated in Islay, right? Also, whisky making. Why do they say Scotch whisky making originated in another country? The Irish are my cousins. Yes, of course they are. But I'm like, no, originated in Islay, because we have irrefutable proof due to archaeological digs in Islay that people have been settled in Islay, settled continuously for 9,200 years. We know they visited for 15,000, but the archaeologists like me being so precise that they say they don't have proof yet of that, although they've got stuff folk could question it, whereas the 9,200 years no one can really question it. So I was really inspired by that, and I wanted to kind of retell, challenge the received narrative, right? But if you write a book about that, it's going to be like a mighty tome, and probably 4 folk would read it. Do you know what I mean? And then I met Mel a year ago by magic to do with bees, right? And we were talking away, and Mel's into comics. I'll let her tell about what she does in a wee minute. But I don't know why I had this idea. It was just like it came by magic. And instead of writing a book, I said, oh, we could make a comic. So that's what we've done.
Fantastic. So, yeah. Fantastic. So Mel, where did you come in then? So when did you meet this mad lady and get swept up in all the schemes?
It happened about a year ago that I happened to be in Glasgow doing some research in the archives at the University of Glasgow. I'd been at a international comics conference down in Cambridge presenting with some colleagues from the University of Delhi, India, and my colleague Varsha said, I want to go up to Glasgow and visit the archives. And I'm like, okay, I'm along for the ride. You know, I loved Scotland. I'd been here in around 2000 was the last time I'd been here. So I wanted to come and see things. And I did not get to spend much time in Glasgow because I'd been traveling around the Highlands and had been some time in Edinburgh. So I said, I really want to go back and see that city because I just passed through it. And I was tardy one morning to go to the archives. Varsha had gone on without me and left me. So I was eating breakfast by myself at the youth hostel. And this wonderful woman with pink in her hair, who was very magical, sat with me and we started chatting. And I was wearing a comic t-shirt, not this one, but another t-shirt from my university, Indiana University, that talked about IU supercomputing and had a woman superhero on it. So being feminists, we chatted about comics and STEM, since it was about computing, and I'm kind of a geek and a nerd as a librarian, and started having a conversation about the medium of comics for storytelling and how appealing they are to different audiences. So that's how it began, is at breakfast at the youth hostel.
Yeah, in Glasgow. And it was by magic that I was at the youth hostel, because I was meant to be staying with Liam and Elaine. And due to the trains being late and things like that, you know, and then I said, look, don't bother. I'll not come, because it was going to be really late at night, like maybe 1 a.m. And where they stay is Park Circus, which is where the youth hostel is. So I says, I'll just book into the youth hostel. So it was by magic. Do you know what I mean? Because it wasn't meant to be there. Yeah. And I wouldn't have met. So it's like and I'd been at a thing to do with bees, a week to do with bees before that. So I said to Mel that the bees organised it.
Well, it's more evidence that backs up my theory that all the best things happen in Glasgow, obviously, you know.
It's like Islay, the centre of the universe.
That's it, yeah. We basically built the world, so you're all welcome.
Yes, well, that's true. That is true.
And Alexis,
magic for sure.
Yeah, Alexis. Obviously, illustrator. So Rachel said you've just finished your time at university, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, literally like last month. Just finished.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
very, very soon.
So your feet haven't quite touched the ground yet, then?
No, not really. No.
She's not a chance to get touching the ground, because Mel and I presented at another conference this year. This was when we launched our comic last Thursday, and Alexis has been just working like a wee busy bee, staying up in the midnight witching hour to try and get drawings done. So we have actually, she's just more or less finished one today. So do you think, Neil, will we tell you a wee bit about the story? Because you probably don't even know the story.
Yeah, well, that was kind of going to be one of my next questions, was obviously without giving too much away, because we don't like spoilers and that, you know, but what sort of form is the story going to take then?
Well, it starts, like everything in my life, it revolves around piping. If it's not whiskey, it's piping. And so it's the journey of beer barley, and really we should all be drinking beer barley whiskey tonight, but Mel and I had it. We took the beer barley to the conference, and it was all drank, because all these academics, you know, they broke free when they were attending our event and were really enjoying the dram, so I didn't have any left. So really it's the story of the journey of beer barley, because beer barley is our land-raised barley, and we've had it for 10,000 years. And it, like what we know so far, it originated in the Fertile Crescent, right, 10,000 years ago, which is when the ice was melting, right? And then it moved up to through kind of Norway, Scandinavia, across to Orkney, and then down, and Bruichladdich they get it grown for them up there, and then they distill it here into beer barley. It's very flavoursome. And basically the journey of beer barley is the journey of the human migration after the ice melted in the Ice Age, right? But we put in a few magical elements because we've had to compress a few thousand years, 4,000 years. So in the beginning, when they leave the Fertile Crescent with the gift of the beer barley to bring, to the north and then ultimately to the west, that's actually, there's a lot of ice because the Ice Age went away and it came back, right? But it never came back in the Canaria where Islay is. So that's why people were settled here. But why they come, right? Why the whole human migration began is because of a pipe tune, right? So there's three wise girls, and there's fierce, and they're the girls out of the boat and the logo, and they're lying sleeping around a campfire. And then Meal, the one, and that's a Gaelic name, it means like sweetness or honey. She hears the tune, and it comes from Islay, and it goes up, up the west coast, up to Shetland. So, it comes in the ether, it comes in the wind, and it goes into and it wakes her up, and the tune becomes a map, right? And so she says, we need to go, we need to follow this tune. So she wakes up her friends, and then I'll let, when we put up Alexis's drawing, we can talk more about that. Well, I'll tell you now because it's too exciting and I can't hold it in. So we're thinking, what pipe tune will we use? Because Alexis got to draw all this, and Mel has to put me in the straight and narrow when I get carried away with flights of fancy. So it's like, what pipe
Good
tune?
luck with that.
What tune? Right. And I was thinking of this tune and that tune, and then I was thinking, oh, well, it has to be Western Home, back to Islay, even though maybe that's not a particular pipe tune. I was like, oh, it must be that. And then, when you listen to the Run Rig Hemi and Cheer, oh my God, that one, when they're out in the boat and he sees the land of his childhood. I thought, no, that's not right. And then I had this brainwave. We'll get our own tune. So I got in touch with Lorne McDougall, piper and composer extraordinaire. He's done stuff with everybody. He's just brilliant. And my cousins in Colonsay, they were like that. Yep, Lorne's your man. So he's writing us a real tune. So when you open the comic, right, and Alexis is going to draw she's drawing the map and she's drawing the wave of the tune, right, and we'll put the right notes on it, and you can open that comic and you will be able to play the tune of the comic. Isn't that cool?
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. Excuse me. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's like you've thought of everything, isn't it?
Well, there's I put Alexis as demented because she can't draw one line, but it's like, but it's this because of this. So,
Always thinking of something else to add in.
Yes. Do you want to show your picture behind you? Like, could you?
Yeah, I can show you. This is the tree
one.
spread. So I don't know.
Oh wow! I wonder,
it's like-
can I might be able to make you bigger on the screen. Wait a second.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we go.
There you go. Yeah, you can kind of see it.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
It's not amazing. So that's the tree of life. And what's the tree from the Fertile Crescent? It's
it's a pomegranate tree. So it's like super twisty. And I thought, like, because we were gonna have the bee hearts like in the middle of the tree, I thought it would work well if it like was super twisty, because then you could have that like opening naturally, kind of. I don't know. It looks more visually pleasing. So pomegranate tree works.
The bees live inside the tree trunk, because when I was at the bee school before I met Mel, the day after we arrived, a bee swarm came to the place, and they were swarming into the trunk of the tree, and it was just so amazing. And I was telling Mel and Alexis, so that's you know, that's a kind of drawing of that.
It's just inspiration coming from everywhere around about you, isn't it? It's inspired by nature, you know.
I love the little, like, the raven up here.
Absolutely right. And we're really, Mel, do you want to tell them about, like, our main thing? Alexis, thank you very much. We'll have your coloured one up in a wee minute. Do you want to tell them about our main theme of reciprocity and giving back to the world? Because we're very interested and care about that.
Sure, that's one thing that came forth as Rachel and I started having our own conversations, is that she had been very inspired by the book Braiding Sweetgrass, which is written by a Potawatomi woman and scientist. And yeah, right there, Robin Wall Kim. And the book is all about, it's a hopeful story of humans in relationship to the land by going back to indigenous knowledge. And I was looking up her ancestry, Rachel, and the Potawatomi lived in Indiana. They lived along the Wabash River that feeds into the Ohio River and sweeps across Indiana, which is my home state. And as we read the book, like reading the book and listening to the stories, she's a storyteller telling these indigenous stories. And the story she starts off with is a story of Sky Woman. And Sky Woman falls from her land in the heavens and has to recreate her life anew. And so that's something that we need to think about in the world, is we've had a lot of things that we've done as humans that have made the world not as beautiful as it once was. How can we make it more beautiful still? It won't be the same as it was before, but how can we operate in cooperation with land so that it is sustainable, not just for us now or our children or grandchildren or nieces or nephews, but in Native American heritage, we say what goes on for 7 generations. So thinking ahead long-term, what are the actions that we can take to be in a more positive relationship, a more nurturing relationship, a more reciprocal relationship with the world? And so that's what, you know, talking with Rachel, is she is a whiskey storyteller. She is indigenous to the islands of Scotland. And this is an indigenous story of the beginnings of whiskey in Scotland. And so there are a lot of parallels that we've taken inspiration from Braiding Sweetgrass. And
also,
you know,
her main thing is reciprocity. So you give, and you give gratitude for everything that you get, because we teach that in our diploma. You know, we tell people, when we take the barley, do we think about it? Do we thank? Do you know what I mean? Do we thank the fields? Do we thank Mother Earth? And the main thing is reciprocity. So in the big page spread that Alexis has done, which we could maybe put up on the screen, the most important thing is the girls are getting an egg from Raven that's going to be made into their boat to leave, right? But they give gifts to Raven first. They don't ask Raven. Do you know what I mean? They give offerings of things. And Alexis has drawn all that. Are we able to see that, Neil? Now?
Yeah, I'll see if I can get that up. You can let me know if this works. Hang on.
Okay. we worked earlier.
But where's it gone now?
It's vanished. Girls have whisked it away.
mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is really, you know how we in Islay Whisky Academy we talk about Scotch in context. Well, this is really the same but more, you know. So what you've got here, we've not got speech bubbles or anything like that yet, but Alexis is she's aware of all this, because I've got to write that and give that to her. But I mean, I've already done it, but it's just so that'll be filled in. but there's Raven in the tree, and it is a magical story as well, because obviously the egg is big enough to make a boat. But that comes from when you were wee. I don't know if you had it in other countries, but we had it, you know. So if you're eating a boiled egg, you know, and you would cut off the top, and then that would be, and then the bottom you would eat out your egg, and it would be a wee boat. So this raven's egg is the boat for them to leave. But the one with the blue is Meal, and she's the one that steers by the stars, right? So she's the one that receives the music. So she's singing a song to the raven. And then the one on the left with the Barley, that's Drum, and she's given barley to him to eat, and also to make his nest. But it's not him or her, it's they, you know, because it's like all raven. And then down the bottom, you've got Speller. Now, she's the magical one. She's the one that holds the still in the boat later on, right? But she's got mica, right? And mica, you get it in the Fertile Crescent, that stone, mica, that glitters. But also the silica, I think it's silica, that is used for communication. We use it in phones and laptops and things like that, and that's in mica. So that's like an amplifier. It's basically a mobile phone or an amplifier or something. So it's a magical thing. And then we've got bee giving honey, right? Because that is nice for the raven to eat, but it's also help raven to make their nest. Do you know what I mean? So they're all practical gifts. But the thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to have the gifts given first before you can see Raven giving the big huge egg. It's just amazing.
I mean, the artwork is absolutely beautiful, I have to say. It's instantly eye-catching, and it's very sort of stylish as well. It's quite a unique style to it. I wondered, actually, is there anything else you want to say about the picture before I put it down?
Mel, do you want to say about sitting in circle?
Yeah, I think that sitting in circle, if you notice this drawing here, well, first off, Rachel will tell you there's many different layers to this, but you can see that the village, before the girls set off on their journey, that they're sitting in circle. And sitting in circle is something that comes to us from a lot of different cultures that sat around campfires. But one thing about sitting in circle is that it's very democratic. Like, we can each contribute one at a time and share. And you'll notice that this circle is open, and that's to invite everyone into this page, to be there in this village and to see what it's like to live at this time where people acted in a different way than we do in our current modern day society. Oftentimes, not all the time. Sometimes we do sit in circle in reciprocity, maybe when we're sitting around our dinner tables with our families or things like that. But it invites you in to be a participant in this story and to begin this journey with the girls. And then, you know, it's a story of hope. So what actions will you take as a result in your own land where you might be from, or where you've migrated with your families or your ancestors came, and how can you make a contribution? So that's it.
That's exactly it. And so people can interact with this as well, Neil, you know, the same way that you can pick it up and you can play the pipe tune, because the thing is, you'll be able to play that, you know, on a whistle or a fiddle or whatever, even though it's a pipe tune. But it means also that you are interacting with the values of the comic and also the picture when you read it, because that's why there's the space, so that the audience is in, you're engaging with it. It's not just a passive story that you flip over. You're actually part of the story, you know.
Yeah.
Alexis, what's your favourite bit of that picture?
There's so many like tiny. I actually really like the ones like the raven giving the egg and like helping push it along. It's so like sweet, and it also like shows scale, which is kind of fun. It shows the magical side of the story. And yeah, I don't know, I just all the little people doing all the different things.
Wow.
No,
I
it's
just
so
love
interesting.
it. I love it. Because you're like, oh my God, I would love to be there. I would love to be in that circle, because they're all so busy. And that's the other thing. So see the mast of the boat is made out of a broken branch of the tree that was hit by lightning. So that's actually in the boat, you see. And then the egg is what they've cooked. They're cooking down the bottom. They're cooking the food from the egg that they're eating on this dinner. You know, so it's like no waste, and I just love it. It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Fantastic. Alexis, I was going to ask you, I mean, what, as somebody with very little artistic skill myself, what's your process to get to something like that? How do you create something like that?
So like, I mean, obviously you get Rachel's mind, you absorb it, and then you like back and forth, you make kind of like a basic sort of sketch of it. And then when you have like an understanding of where everything's going to sit, then I just go straight in with a pencil and I like pencil the whole thing. Now I'm kind of bad. I'm quite detailed when I do a sketch, which is what you're supposed to be a bit more like loose, but I like detail. And then after that, I get like a piece of like nicer paper, and then this is actually a light box, so this lights up. Wait. Whoa. And basically it like projects the pencil through to the paper, and then I can literally draw with a fine liner like the drawing. Right. And then it's very laborious, but it's very worth it. And then I like take a photo of it, and then I extract the lines and then color it in. But a lot of it is like, it's a lot of collaboration. So like this would not have been possible without like talking and constantly like revising it to be the best it can be. So yeah, and I just love cross hatching. So a lot of it is just hatch work, which is lots of lines like this.
But it's amazing because, you know, we have Zoom meetings, and I send Alexis big, it's like rolling documents, you know, they're living, you just can't keep adding to them. But how Alexis has made these girls into real people, because I'm like that, this is the character and that's the character, and she can draw that. And they're like people now that you know.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Rachel, but there is personality coming out of that page. You know, you can sort of see the characters already. You know.
Love it. Ivan's asking, is that a flame in the tree? It's what it is, Ivan, is that's where the lightning struck it, and that's why the branch broke. We didn't want to make it that they sawed off a branch. Do you know what I mean? They didn't. So it was like the lightning broke that branch, so it was okay to use it, because we didn't want to make it that we went and sawed off a branch and took it away. We wanted it to be, because if the lightning hadn't struck that, we would have had to get a branch from somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? So that's like Alexis showing the lightning struck it, it went and fired a wee bit, the branch broke, and then that's what we're taking and making as the mast in the boat.
And it was so magical, Alexis, like when you first sent, we communicate on WhatsApp. So I was in Indiana, Rachel was in Islay, you know, Alexis was at home, and where she sent us the first picture of the girls, and like, I almost cried. Like, I was just like, I called Rachel because, and normally we set up a time for a Zoom meeting because of the 5-hour time difference and all this, but I was just like, did you see the girls? They're alive. You know, like it was like we finally gave birth to the baby. So that's kind of like why I'm the comic doula, is like trying to, Rachel has this wonderful story, and I'm like, please just tell the story and don't get bogged down. You know, we have to type it out eventually and write it down and things like that. But she's such a master storyteller, and she was just channeling it, I think, from magic in the universe.
Honestly, it's magic. That's true, Mel, because there was one point, because I've drawn the whole comic out, but I mean, I wouldn't dream of showing it to anyone. Well, Alexis has to see it. You know, it's like we stick people and things. But anyway, there's a point when they're leaving, right, and the boat's here, and they're half on, and I was so busy doing it, and then one sticks up her finger like that to test the wind, and that was actually like, I wasn't really thinking about that. I didn't think, well, what will they do? Do you know what I mean? It was like as though they'd come alive. And I can't remember which one of them. I'll need to look back. But she did it herself, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're really alive." So they bring the beer barley. That's how we have whiskey.
Brilliant. Yeah. I'll get the thumbs up from Ivan there.
What was I going to say? Have we got any other pictures that we could show?
You could talk a little bit more about the different aspects of the characters. I mean, you introduced their names a little bit, but you kind of wrote. So our process, we've been learning this because Alexis has actually produced a whole comic that she did for her capstone project called Scapegoat, which is how when I was cyber stalking her on Instagram, I sent her, to Rachel to look at. And I've just drawn some little terribly drawn sketch comics too, but writing a comic script, kind of like you'd write a movie script, is new to us. And Rachel wrote these really long descriptions of each of the girls, and as you read them, you're like, oh, there's where the character and personality is in writing. And then Alexis translated that with conversations into these, like you said, these three distinct characters that are popping off the page and are going to be our heroines on this heroic journey. So, yeah.
I was going to say something. Okay, well, so the bee is also a character. So the bee's not really like a pet or anything. The bee's a strong character in its own right. Because you've got the three girls, because it's the three girls in the boat, right? But then the bee, because, that's another thing. So the bee hum. So see how the bees are in the center of the tree there? That's like the natural hive, right? The noise of the hum, okay, is like the om. When people do meditating and they go, om. Well, the hum is the same as that, the hum of the bee. And it's like the noise that's like, not the noise, the sound of the existence of life. Like that's the same sound as like the earth sound, if you know what I mean. If there was no noise from other things, it's that kind of noise, right? But also that is the drone of the pipes. And if the drone of the pipes, the drone of the bees, it's just so amazing. And we're going to do an amazing thing, because we've made a Kickstarter. Oh my God, never. My advice to anybody is, I would rather run a marathon than do a Kickstarter. Dear God. Anyway, it means you can buy the comic ahead. You're investing in our dream, and you can buy the comic ahead. You can pledge money if you wish, but we're offering a physical comic and an online comic. But we are also offering that you can buy a note in the pipe tune and give it to someone or keep it yourself. So in the pipe tune, when you open the comic, we will send you a certificate, right, with the pipe tune, and one of the notes will be highlighted, and then it'll be like your name or whoever you want to give it to, and that's your certificate. But when you look at the pipe tune or play it, you'll say, that's my note, or that's the note I bought for my boyfriend. Do you know what I mean? So we're doing that on Kickstarter. So Eòrna and I are working on the tune just now. So the tune should be ready maybe, I don't know, maybe in not this week, but maybe the beginning of the following week. I don't know how long it takes to make a tune. But the thing is, you can buy the notes before it's made, if you see what I mean. So that's very exciting, I think, and magical.
Fantastic, yeah. Brilliant. I wanted to ask about Rachel as well, about obviously the, in the name and stuff, the use of Gaelic is quite prominent. I know that's something that you believe in a lot. I'm going to stop sharing this beautiful painting at the minute, if that's okay. Yeah, so would you mind talking a wee bit about the sort of use of Gaelic throughout the project and the importance of that?
Well, it's very important because, as I said, I want to make people rethink received wisdom history and think about, you know, the hypothesis that's very strongly put forward that Gaelic originated in Islay. So we're using a lot of Gaelic. The name is in Gaelic, Seachad and Eòrna, and there's going to be places in the story where, with Alexis's drawing and the momentum of the story, that we're actually going to use Gaelic and we are not going to translate it into English, because the reader will be able to understand it themselves. But do you know what I mean? Because we're going to using the imagery and using the momentum of the story. So I feel that's very important, because normally when people use Gaelic, we always qualify or translate it. Oh, did you see that from Anne's? Fantastic. There you are. See?
That hum is very fantastic, yeah.
There you are.
Okay.
I forget what I was saying there. I was distracted.
We were talking about Gaelic and the use of Gaelic.
So we're going to use a lot of Gaelic, and also going back to the bee. See, when we say anything factual, the bee says it. So, like, normally in comics, you've got like a wee speech bubble, right? But the bee is going to speak with a wee scroll. It's a wee scroll, and the bee is quite sardonic and can't be bothered with the girls being twits. So sometimes the bee's quite dry and a bit sardonic, which will be really good. But so there's factual things, and so the bee will say these, you know, like, and this is what is happening now. But it's the bee that's going to do that, not them, because the bees are so filled with wisdom and knowledge. And I mean, I'm just so excited about it, because I've got Mel from Indiana with all that she brings in her comics knowledge and all that. I've got Alexis, fantastic art. We've got Lorne with the piping. Do you know what I mean? It's like a big creative world of just, and it's all about how the end it all comes, and then whiskey's formed. And the exciting thing is that, see, when they leave the Fertile Crescent, the curve of the Mediterranean there, right, where they leave, they take a tagine, which is made of clay, right? But a tagine was the original still, because that was before we had copper, before we had metal, right? So that was so they have that. They have the tagine, right? So in the picture that I've got of the girls, she's holding a wee alembic, but we're going to be up before that. And then it's also kind of a wee bit like the story of Ulysses, or the hero or the heroine's journey, because when they get to Cyprus, which is the island of love and Venus, but it's also the island of copper, they fall in love with the men of Cyprus, and the men of Cyprus fall in love with them, and they're there for years and years. I think about 4,000 years. Because when they leave, they have a still. So there's love as well. So, I mean, there's a lot going on in this comic.
It sounds like an epic, yeah. Sounds like an epic adventure. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, is there anything else you want to add about the comic before? I think I've exhausted all the questions that I had to ask. Is there anything else you want to add before we sort of wrap that up?
Girls, have you got anything that you want to say, or that you want to share or ask? Anything that you want to ask or share?
I mean, I think that this feels like very important work, like an important act of creation. Like, it feels like something good and applied of things that I believe in myself. Like, I'm a faculty sponsor for my Grenadiers Sustainability Club at IU Southeast, and I've been involved with like food justice and looking at food systems and things like that. So I feel like we're telling a story to inspire folks for their corner of the world on what they can do to take action. So for me, like, it's it's just very personally important to be involved. And then I think, you know, I'm just inspired by Rachel's storytelling and then Alexis translating that into the images that are just so beautiful. So my background is as a elementary school librarian before I came to the university. And so I buy a lot of children's literature and a lot of comics. And this one is beautiful. And one of Rachel's friends said it's magical, and it is. And I think that it will inspire a bunch of people. I also like that there's 3 strong women that are leading this journey and are telling this story in a time before we had such differentiation of gender roles at that time. So it's an inspiring story, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. Grateful that the universe conspired to help Rachel and I meet, and the bees.
I know. From I, because we've been a year doing this. We've been Zoomed nearly every week, and when I was in South America, it was easier because we were sometimes we were on the same time zone for a while if I was in South America. But I never talked about it to anyone, Neil. Not anyone, not even to Margaret Rose, not to anyone, because you had to keep the energy in because the project's so big, because there's so much layers. And this is why we're so grateful to Alexis, because she doesn't go, oh, for God's sake, not more symbolism.
At least not out loud, anyway.
Well, that's really wonderful, Rachel.
No, I do. I love symbolism. I'm like obsessed with details. So.
No, we match well. We all match together greatly.
Fantastic. Well, I think we've just about covered. I mean, we could talk about this all night, really, but we better sort of put an end to it somewhere. There will be lots more information about it on the website, obviously, and any questions, contact the email. And there is a Kickstarter, so we will put on our social medias and all that. You'll have links to all the Kickstarter stuff. Please do support if you like us, believe it's an interesting project worthy of the support. Mel, I believe you could be contacted on LinkedIn if anyone is looking to get hold of you.
Yes.
That's Melanie Elizabeth Hughes. And Alexis, you are on Instagram. That's Alexis Bowden, right? Excellent. So at Alexis_Bowden on Instagram, you'll see all her brilliant artwork there as well. So thank you, girls, very much for joining us. This is a very exciting project, and this has been a really interesting talk.
Thanks for having us, Neil and Rachel, and
we'll have you back if you will join us when further along the journey, because we have to. It will be launched. It will be available to buy at the end of September. So we could do another one then, a big party then.
Yeah. Yeah, a collective sigh of relief.
Yes, yes. Girls, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you later.
Okay, wonderful. That was great.
I'm so happy to be part of this, Neil. I just find it. I mean, I love doing the Courting the Dram course, but I really kind of wrote that alone because it was in COVID, you know. And I know we have got online communication and all the rest of it, but I like being part of this, because I'll say to Melanie, right, I'm doing this, this, and this, and then she'll say, now why is this, Rachel? What are they actually doing? And because I've thought of it in my head so quickly, I'm not spelling it out, but you've got to spell it out so that Alexis can then evaluate it and put it into visual form. Yeah. So it's great to have this. Do you know what I mean? Someone that modifies my speedy thinking, if you like.
Yeah. And I just find that, I know we've used the word a lot, but it does feel kind of magical the way you've got 4 people who would never have worked together, probably, and they've all come together on this one project, from the piper to the illustrator. It's just, it's kind of unbelievable, really, actually. But
I've had a brilliant
really
idea,
inspiring.
Neil. I've had a brilliant idea. We could ask Lauren to come on when they're tuned and he can play it. That would be
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah,
I'll do
that would be a good sort of a good event to mark the launch, wouldn't it?
Yes, we'll get him to come and play when we launch it. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been a bit overwhelmed, not overwhelmed, taken up with that. But I mean, life is still going on as normal. And
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, it'll only be another 2.5, 3 months, and the next residential diploma I'll be on, and then we'll be thinking about March next year, and you know,
God.
it all keeps rolling on, doesn't it?
Oh.
I believe there's also some really big news in the works as well, but we'll maybe save that for another chat. I think there's another project that comes kind of in liquid form, I believe.
Yes, yes.
We'll maybe leave that as a wee teaser there. That'll be another exciting conversation to be had.
Yes. Wonderful.
So what I'll do is I'll just put up, so again, there's the email, info@islawwhiskeyacademy.scot, and the website is just islawwhiskeyacademy.scot. Please do drop us a line, or you can obviously find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that as well, and we will try and respond to any questions you have there. Yeah, so is there anything else you want to add just before we wrap that up then, Rachel?
Not that I can think of. Just keep drumming your drums, and I just think it's so exciting that this project has come out of like my love for whiskey, or our love for whiskey. So it's the liquid that, because everything comes down to that, really. I mean, it's the culture and the language, but everything is from the dram, because it's the bare barley, and it's like I'm saying. So we kind of take it as read that the alembic was the kind of first still, which was the tagine, blah blah. Do you know what I mean? So the story is really the story of whiskey, as well as the story of the human, and it is the story of the bee, because the bees came out of Africa, and they had to fly on the south side of like the Alps and things like that, because they couldn't go up because it was too cold. So they flew through channels, right, after the ice melted, and they fertilized the plants, which we ate, and they fertilized, they had to be around so that the barley would grow.
Yeah. Well, but it all comes back to the sort of, the hashtag, the tagline we use. It's Scotch in context, because it's the story of whiskey, but in relation to everything around about it, because nothing happens in isolation, does it? It's all everything's the result of something else, So yeah, it's really funny, because I can't believe that this has all been going on, because do you remember when we did the episode of this about the whiskey geeks?
Yes.
And I remember talking at the time, about how I always grew up with sort of geeky interests. I've always been out of that. And comics were one of the things that I, as a teenager and stuff, I loved that world of comic books, So it's like two passions have come together now, it's fantastic.
I'm very pleased you said that, McMurph, because Melanie says that we have to go to comic cons, and I'm like that. Whiskey festivals are enough for me, so I'll put you forward for that, Joe.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, no bother. You can take a hip flask, right? So
yes, of course. Well, we gave them drams at the conference. All these academics that were like, that's the best lecture we've ever been to.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I suppose we should probably wrap up there then. So thank you to everybody for tuning in to watch. Thank you to Mel and to Alexis, not only for their brilliant work, but for coming along to talk about it tonight. It would be great if we could get them back to talk a bit more in future as well, when the project's ready to go or has already launched. So thank you all very much. Rachel, thank you as always. And I guess we'll see you next time.
Thank you,